Welcome, guys, to UFC 262 post-fight breakdown and analysis. We're going to run through these main event cards real quick. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bang, coming for the top, got the game in the lock. Every time that I drop, know I gotta go bang. I'ma keep it hot, know that I can never stop. Keeping everything I got, I'ma make it go bang.
Hit the subscribe button. Uppercut the motherfucking notification bell so you know when all of our videos are coming out. Sometimes we do one, sometimes we do two. Sometimes we even do 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Who's to say? But stay tuned for all our MMA news, pre-fight, post-fight, whatever. We're there for you. But let's talk about the fight. Let's get right into it. What'd you think?
Yeah. So a little bit of the prelims, if you want to talk about that. Obviously, we had the nasty arm break, Jacare Souza. And then we also had one of the Shevchenko sisters, Antonina, got subbed as well. So some good fights on the prelims, but I think we should just get straight to the main card.
I will say one thing before we go to the main card.
Sure, yeah.
Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, Corey Hill. Nastiest leg kicks I've ever seen. Nastiest leg breaks, that I've ever seen in my life. But I mentioned to you this before we stepped on the podcast. There is no sound that is more disturbing than the sound that I heard from Jacare's arm breaking. It sounded like a firework. That's all I'm going to say. I would rather see the leg breaks over and over again than hear that sound again. That's all I'm saying.
But you know what was scary and how much of a savage Jacare is? Stood up afterwards. He's smiling, shook the guy's hands.
Yep.
Oh my God, man.
With a smile on his face.
With a smile on his face.
That's a true assassin.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. First fight on the main card, we had Edson Barbosa and Shane Burgos, which was an absolute barn burner. This was a great fight to kick off the card. A very, very great showing.
Is barn burner a terminology you use for like an exciting fight or a piece of shit?
I think an exciting fight. No?
Let's look it up.
I think it's an exciting fight. Barn burner is like maybe a close fight.
Like when someone's barn is burning, is that exciting? Let me see. Okay, hold on. Burn. Wait.
Isn't it exciting to have someone's barn burn? I don't know.
Burner.
Meaning. Sorry, guys. We have to look.
No, we're gonna find this out right now because this is like weird because I don't want to like talk about that if it's like barn burner, an event typically a sports contest that is very exciting or intense. You're right. It was a burning of the motherfucking barn. That barn burned down.
Yeah. Great fight to see. Edson back in the cage after a 1-year layoff, had some contract renegotiations, and always
7 fights. Yep.
Always what we see out of Edson is what we saw in this one. He's in the featherweight category.
Yep.
I think he should stay in this division a little bit longer. We spoke a little bit about this before. You think he should move back up, but he's had a few wins the last couple times he's been out, and I think he's looked phenomenal.
I just want to ask: am I drinking your whiskey or mine?
That's yours. Mine's
yours. Is the one with more?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, what were you saying? Okay, yes, this fight went exactly the way we thought it was going to go, at least for the first round. We thought that in terms of styles, it was a direct mismatch. Now, while it was an amazing fight, I just thought it was a fight completely designed to fall right into the easy victory column of Edson Barbosa's resume. Shane Burgos, predominantly a boxer. And all he came in, I don't even know if he threw one leg technique in the first round at all.
I don't think
and Edson Barbosa just smashed him with leg kicks, utilizing his legs the whole entire time. But somewhere down the line in the second round, first of all, Shane's coaches, I think they did a great job.
Yeah.
Because after the first round, I think they told him to start using the leg kick, which he did. And it was very, they weren't half as powerful, but they were very effective. That calf kick is effective.
Yeah, he took away Edson's main tool that he uses, and he generates that power by supporting himself on that off leg that he's not kicking with, right? So you take Edson's weapons away from him, and you see a little bit more positive things happening for Shane, which is his boxing started to come back, and he started to be more fluid until he got caught.
Yep.
With some nasty punches. Was it an overhand right?
Yeah, and it was just crazy the way the whole ending unfolded. The way it was like a delayed reaction, TKO. We haven't seen anything like that since back in the day when Charles Oliveira, actually newly crowned champ, we'll get to that, lost to Cub Swanson. He gets hit in the face, and just moments later, he then feels the effects of the contact made by Cub Swanson, and he buckles down to his knees. Same thing happened with Shane Burgos, but even more dramatic. He got hit with an over right hand, I think.
Yeah. and like square. Maybe
Yep.
it hit him in the temple.
Yep.
Right in the kind of the upper jaw.
Yep.
And it was about a 5-second delay.
Yeah.
Where things seemed like he took the punch, everything was okay, and then you can see his eyes starting to kind of go, right? He wobbled back a little bit, fell against the cage, and then Edson capitalized on the win there.
Yep.
So a
Which
little bit of a strange ending, but great showing by Edson.
Do you think that the magic of Joshua Fabia had something to do with Shane Burgos just magically falling like that?
I think he had his little doll. What do you call that?
Yeah.
Voodoo witchcraft
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was poking.
That's their
at
practice
him a
Muay
little
Thai. He
bit.
just goes, hiya! Hits him in the neck of the voodoo doll. Yeah!
I always question.
undefeated.
I always question Fabia's intent in some of these fights.
He's not going to question my fucking downward flying knee right to the top of his fucking dome, loser.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
Anyways.
Next fight.
Next fight on the card, we had
Caitlin Chukagian
Chukagian
against Vivian Araujo.
Araujo. Yeah. This was a fight that we spoke about in the pre-fight analysis. It went exactly as we said it would, right? It went to
maybe even less exciting, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that these fights go this way for Caitlin, because she doesn't go out looking for the finish.
Yeah.
She doesn't go out, like you said, with cruel intentions behind those punches, behind those kicks. She's just looking to kind of win on the cards.
Yeah.
And after Araujo blew her gas tank,
Yep.
right, she really didn't go in there and try to capitalize on that, and just essentially took it to a decision.
Which is crazy because, I mean, the big advantage for Araujo is, if we're going to call it a disadvantage to Chukagian's game, is going to be the ground game. Where Araujo shines, if you're going to say shine at all, because I really don't think she's superb, but in terms of matching these up, that's where the advantage and disadvantages lie. And I think Araujo should have closed the distance more. Push her against the cage and try to take her down and try to grapple her and just take away all of Chukagian's point sparring style-esque techniques, which were shit. Like, I enjoy them. You have precision, you have technique, but if you don't go out with killer instinct, I'm sorry. If you're not trying to win these fights decisively and for sure get your hand raised, I think I could see you winning 6 fights in a row and still not getting called up for a title shot. I just don't think there's any way, shape, or form that no matter who you beat, that Dana White's going to put you up onto a title shot contention if you're just going to win fights like that.
Yeah. It's still the sport of entertainment. You need to entertain the fans. And you can kind of tell during the whole fight, the crowd was just restless.
Yep.
They wanted to see some action.
Yep.
And obviously you don't want to put yourself in a bad position to get potentially knocked out.
Yep.
But you have to chase the win. You have to go out there and put it on Vivian. And you can tell she's tired, right?
Yep.
Towards the end of that second round, after all the grappling exchange, you can tell she got up and she was gassed a little bit. So why not take advantage of that?
Hi! Yeah, that was her. That was Chukagian or Holly Holm, whatever.
One and the same.
Yeah, it was crazy. Except actually, Holly Holm actually throws techniques that are devastating that could kill you, or at least harm you from continuing the next round. Chukagian, you need to work on that. You have great techniques. I just think you need to develop more power behind them.
Yeah.
And that's basically my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Congrats on the win, but
Yep.
we need to see a little bit more if you want to put your name back in the hat for that title fight.
He means a lot, and your name was never in the hat. Not yet.
Not yet?
Not for a while. I don't think so. What for? I mean, I guess there's not enough top contenders.
Who else is in the division?
Well, Holly Holm
right?
could just keep fighting for the title.
Yeah.
And now Misha Tate's back. They can just keep fighting for the title back and forth.
Imagine Holly Holm and Chukagian fight.
Yeah. Ha, he, ha, hoo, he, ha, hoo, he. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It definitely sounds like an episode of the old Mortal Kombat. I mean, not in Mortal Kombat, it's right, Power Rangers.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, morphin' time. Yeah, he, ha, hoo. Yeah. Sword on, ha, he.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next fight on the card we had
Matt Schnell.
an addition to this card because we had some fights fall out.
Yep.
We had Matt Schnell and we had Bontarine.
Yeah, and Bontarine, this is stylistically they're completely different too, right?
Yeah.
Bontarine is a very muscular guy who likes to get in close and throw bombs and utilize his wrestling, which is funny, but Matt Schnell, it's funny because I think visually he looks like a hybrid between Dominic Cruz and Yair Rodriguez, he has that style too with his foot movement, although he doesn't really throw the volume that they do. But completely different style. One's like that keeps the space, and one likes to close the space up and try to take your head off.
Yeah, and we saw Schnell kind of moving in, good footwork. He was pressuring Bontorin. Obviously, he had the reach advantage, but he wasn't capitalizing on being in the better position. He wasn't showing too much volume. He wasn't pressuring the fight aside from just advancing forward. We didn't really see too much out of that, and I think Bontorin kind of saw that and used that to his advantage a little bit.
Which he did a great job. He was really exciting. But yeah, definitely Schnell. I definitely felt like he was trigger shy. I think that's that terminology.
Gun shy. Yeah, gun shy.
Gun shy.
For
Trigger
sure.
shy? Gun
Barn
shy.
burner, gun shy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was gun shy because this could have been a barn burner. Lots of barns would have went up in flames.
Yep.
But Bontorin definitely put on the pressure, and he was definitely a really, really exciting fighter. And that's actually what I like to see these fights. I like to see these fights with these two, I want to say no name, because they're well-known fighters, but in terms of like the average MMA fighter that wants to come into UFC to watch the Conor McGregors, the GSPs, the Chuck Liddells, the John Joneses, all these big names, at least in their own respective eras, they won't know who these guys are. But it's great because you get to see these stories unfold rather than just watching the end result. And that's what I like to see. I like to see people get made into champions, not just watching champions.
Yeah, well, that's when the most exciting moments happen in the UFC, is when you don't know who you're watching, and then boom, somebody gets knocked out, somebody gets subbed. And, if you look back like 5 years ago, we didn't know who Conor McGregor was.
Yeah.
You looked at him on a card, you said,
the good old
okay,
days.
Conor McGregor, that's who's fighting tonight, okay.
Yep.
You didn't know who he was going to be today. You're just watching the fight, right? So I think it was a great addition to the card and great victory by Bontorin.
That's right. Yep. Exciting. Next, co-main event.
Co-main event, we had another barn burner.
Yeah.
I mean, it really didn't go the way that Ferguson thought it would, but we had Tony Ferguson and Beneil Dariush. Beneil, man, he looked fantastic.
Yeah, which is weird because on the way to the octagon and in the press conference, we'll start at the press conference. We'll start in terms of chronologically anyway. In the press conference, he didn't really sell the fight. In my opinion, too, I felt like he was almost saying things. They were giving excuses as to why he may lose the fight. He was talking about his age. He's talking about, he realizes he's over the hump now. He's past his prime, which is things you don't really want to hear when these fighters are about to step in the octagon trying to take each other's heads off, potentially being called up for the next contender for the belt. And then when he walked into the octagon, you said something very obvious. Like I saw, I'm like, oh yeah, shit, you really pointed it out. And that was, he looked very nervous.
Yep.
But then when he stepped in the octagon, took off his Venom gear, which looked sick, by the way, and Bruce Buffer announced his name, he looked cool, calm, and collective, and laser fucking focused. And that's exactly what he was.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Yep.
He kind of put on a different mask, and that's who Dariush is. Once you get him in there and you lock that cage, he becomes a completely different animal. And we saw that against Ferguson, who I thought had a pretty good chance going into this, but it just seems like the takedown defense needed some more work because he couldn't defend it, couldn't get off of his back, kind of got stuck in the guard, got stuck trying to finish a guillotine and a Darce choke. From half guard. So just some bad positions that he couldn't get out of. And in my opinion, I don't see Ferguson winning any of the fights in the top 5, maybe even the top 10 right now. Might be a bit tough for me to see him going forward.
I think Beneil really capitalized on an inefficiency in Tony's game that we've seen in the last 2 fights. And that's, as long as you stick to your own game plan and you don't fall for Ferguson's antics, which means plant him and rock him, sock him until someone gets knocked out, then there's very, very clear ways to win this fight. And that's put pressure and just stick to your game plan. If you stick to your game plan and don't bite on any of the bait that Tony Ferguson's throwing out, he gets frustrated. In the first couple seconds, Tony Ferguson did not expect Beneil to blow up in his face like that and utilize boxing. And then as soon as Tony started getting like, okay, whoa, this is a boxing fight, he switched it right away to the ground, confused them, and then drowned him on the mat. And it was a very, very frustrating fight for Tony. And it just showed all these fighters, whoever's going to fight him next, as long as you have a concrete game plan and you stick to it and you don't steer to put on the emotion for the fans, the fight for the fans, you have a very, very real possibility of winning this fight, and no disrespect, fairly easily. Yeah.
One thing that I kind of noticed, especially over the course of the past few fights, is Tony doesn't have a head coach.
No.
Tony is his own head coach, as he said it multiple times. And I think that kind of plays a little bit to his disadvantage, because you don't have someone there seeing things that you're not seeing, right? He may have people in his corner that are coaching him, but at the end of the day, Tony is going to do what Tony wants to do.
Yeah.
Rafael Cordero, Kings MMA, coaching Dariush.
Yep.
What do you think he's telling him when Dariush is doing something wrong?
Absolutely.
Shut up. This is what you're going to do. This is what I'm seeing because I'm your coach, right? So it's tough to see Ferguson going this way, but hats off to Dariush. He had a great game plan, and I think that's what you need to have when you're coming in to fight Ferguson.
And Ferguson is a savage, but he's also very delusional. He's still talking about guys like Khabib. So how could you ever rely on someone like that to like coach yourself and be successful? He's still talking about being in the mix. You're not in the mix. I don't think you're even close to remotely being even talked about in the mix.
Well, not anymore.
No, definitely not anymore. And I think he definitely has a problem, and I hope it gets looked after. The one thing I do want to say is everybody keeps talking about how much of a savage he is because, you know, his arm almost popped out in the Charles Oliveira fight. His knee almost popped out in the Beneil Dariush fight. While people are praising these things, I think that's terrible for the longevity of his body.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like bad, and it's great. I get he has the fighter spirit, but before he threw those heel chops at Beneil Dariush, he was there just trying to withhold the pain for a while without trying to get out of it.
Well, and Beneil even said he heard a pop.
Yeah,
he heard something pop in his knee. And as much as you want to say, obviously, all the fans love Tony. As much as you want to say he's a savage, how many more years are you going to fighting that way?
Yeah.
Right? And
those bones aren't going to grow back stronger.
Well, and he has kids. I mean, do you not see a future outside of just fighting for the rest of your life?
I don't think he does.
Right?
He's fun. I feel like he needs help, but that's just me. And I hope he does get it. Like, I mean no disrespect whatsoever. I truly believe you need help. Like guys like Diego Sanchez, fuck Fabia, fuck you, dude. But like guys like Diego and Tony, I truly believe they need help. They need attention. They need love. They need nurturing. They need to be cared about, and they need help to be brought to them. Maybe an intervention, because they're only seeing what they want to see, right? Where Tony doesn't see how much of a disaster he is. Diego doesn't see how much of a disaster he is. These guys need help, man.
So what does Tony need to do to turn things around if he wants to stay in the UFC and not get cut or lose his next fight?
I think he needs
What does he need to do?
I really think he needs to get humble. He's not humble. It's always, yeah, champ shit only. You think I'm going to retire and get these motherfuckers a break? Dude, you suck. You suck right now. Like, you have lost in dramatic fashion the last 3 fights, not by a lucky shot, but by rounds, by volume, by efficiency, by cardio even, by technique, by every element of MMA against 3 different fighters.
Beating him at his own game.
His own game. I think he needs, if he's serious about this, he needs to start from the beginning, new camp. He doesn't suck, but almost his mentality, hey, Tony, welcome to my gym. You suck. You're a new fighter. We need to start from the ground up. You know he's a killer. You know he's going to go in there. He's not going to quit, and maybe even not going to quit so much that he's stupid. But I just think he needs someone that's really going to discipline him.
Yeah.
Big time.
Maybe just kind of gear down a little bit and build yourself back up. And he needs a good matchup in his next fight. I think I said maybe Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
That'd be a good fight.
And I'm okay with that. That makes sense to me. And that would make sense to Dan Hooker, because that's an up situation for Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker likes to kickbox. Guess what Tony's going to do with you? He's going to stand up his feet and try to bang with you.
Yep.
If you beat Tony, even though he's on a 3-fight lose streak, he's a fan favorite. The stock is going right up for Dan Hooker.
Exactly.
And he's right back in the mix.
Exactly.
I think financially and in terms of the hierarchy of the sport, Dan Hooker, that's the most amazing fight for him to have.
Yep. Does Dariush get a title fight now?
No.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he could. It's hard for me to even talk about the 155 division, because I think this whole thing with Poirier and Conor is leaving the whole division in limbo, which it shouldn't. I say fuck them. But honestly, I kind of, if they're going to fight for the title, why don't you just fight, why don't you fight little Charles Oliveira and see what happens to you. If anything, maybe Beneil Dariush should fight Chandler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's get to it. Main
Yep.
event on the card.
Yep.
We had the title fight. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Things did not work out the way that we thought they were
No.
going to work out.
No.
Obviously, we had Michael Chandler picked for this one. They were going the way that we had foreseen things. Obviously, he had a little bit of trouble in the first few minutes of that round being on his back, but got right out of there, hit Charles hard, had him wobbled,
Yep.
had him against the cage. Charles was smart enough to turn to his back and kind of fend him off for the rest of the round. And then they came out in the second round, and Chandler got clipped.
That was definitely a smart move by moving from turtle back to your open guard. Such a smart move because then he had those legs to keep it at space because you could tell he still wasn't with it, but those legs were in front of him to kind of keep Michael at a distance where he couldn't necessarily connect with Chandler's chin.
Yep.
But Chandler, I love watching this guy fight. Even the whole first round, half the techniques he was throwing was at Charles Oliveira's stomach.
Yeah.
And his body, which is, no one does that.
Yep.
That just shows how skilled this guy is, right? And like, I know you're thinking, oh, the hit to the stomach, but everybody's always a headhunter. It shows matureness and just technical MMA awareness to know that there's other body parts, than the face.
Yeah.
And he was attacking those parts, and he was getting Charles to drop his guard, and that's when he was able to connect with the face and throw Charles right off.
Well, that's how you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to beat such a tough guy in Oliveira, you can't just headhunt the whole time, right? Stayed away from the kicks, which I think was smart, but he still got taken down. Had no issues there, which was, I think, not surprising to me, but surprising to a lot of people. Even the commentary was like, wow, got right out of there. But he's never had trouble with submissions in the past, though, right?
Yeah. Well, he even calls his wrestling. He doesn't even call it wrestling. He calls that anti BJJ or something like that, right?
Yeah. He's
And
just strong.
not to disrespect him. He's just saying, no, my style's meant to just totally negate BJJ techniques as best they can anyway.
Yep. But unfortunately came out in that second round. Maybe he let his foot off the gas a little bit, maybe too soon. Should have maybe just blitzed Oliveira because he had him injured, had him hurt. But great heart, great grit from Oliveira to come out and get the win.
Amazing,
and put him away. That was crazy.
This is one of those fights, too, where I really wanted Chandler to win. But at the end of the day, if either one of them won, which either did, right? Charles did, I wouldn't be upset. I love both of them. I've watched their careers flourish, absolutely. I remember seeing Charles Oliveira lose against Jim Miller in Montreal back in the day on the same card. I think it was Josh Koscheck and GSP2.
Yep.
So I remember seeing this guy from the beginning of his career. Fantastic evolution. Took him like 11 years to get here. Well-deserved, way overdue, and he deserves the championship belt. However, I do think Chandler's going to get there eventually. Not now. I think he's not going to lose until he gets that belt, for sure. But yeah, he's definitely not going to get the rematch right away.
Well, you look at the mindset and you look at even after the fight, humble in victory and in defeat, and he has the mindset that you need to have in order to be in that conversation or get put back into that conversation and get that title shot again, right? So I think it maybe only takes one fight, maybe two. I don't think two. I think maybe one good fight, and he's right back there. Who would you like to see him match up against? I think you said Ferguson.
No, I said Ferguson before just because I could see them giving that fight to Ferguson, just so Ferguson could fight one more big name to see if he can throw himself back in the mix, and because Chandler's on a loss. But Chandler's on a loss against the current champ. I can even see Chandler fighting one of Conor or Poirier, whoever loses.
Well, yeah, whoever.
But then again, I think they would both duck. I think the one person they won't duck is Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I think
He needs a fight. He's been waiting.
Yeah, he's been waiting too long.
He's been waiting for a fight. They won't give him a fight.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for Justin Gaethje to face Michael Chandler. So I'd love to see that actually. Him being the number one contender, but I think Dana's kind of waiting to see if his boy Conor wins to give him the fight. To be honest with you, that's what I think he's waiting to do. Because Dana always says, "We'll see what happens," but
we know what that means.
We know exactly what that means.
Yeah,
so
we know what that means. He's calling us all idiots, but we know.
Yeah. So shout out to Oliveira. Congrats on the win. Michael Chandler, we'll see you again, hopefully. And another great card. I really enjoyed this one.
Fantastic. And the funny thing is, we didn't even have Leon Edwards or Nate Diaz, which got pushed to UFC 263 because Nate had a minor injury.
Yeah.
So imagine would have been. But again, no regrets, because now we got to see who Bontorin and Matt Schnell are.
Yeah.
So sometimes these stories unfold to such magical moments, right?
Yep.
So I'm glad it played out the way it did. Yeah, I'm so happy with it. My boy lost the main event, but I don't care. I love Oliveira too. It was an amazing card. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fucking love it.
Guys, let us know what you think down in the comments. Did it go the way you thought it was going to go? What were your picks? What do you see happening with Michael Chandler? How does the rest of the division shake out? And where are things gonna go? Right?
Yep.
Remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe, and keep coming back, because we have a lot more videos, a lot more fights to discuss coming up in the next couple of months.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We love y'all, and we're going to see you soon. I'm going to bed. Peace.
See you guys.
Bang, coming for the top, got the game in the lock. Every time that I drop, know I gotta go bang. I'ma keep it hot, know that I can never stop. Keeping everything I got, I'ma make it go bang. Better than the best, I'ma tell it with my chest. I don't got no time to rest, now they know what I'm saying. Everybody know I'm coming next, I'ma leave it in a mess. If they wanna test, I'ma make it bang. Step into the mind of a young man with the plan.